Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is webinar number 2 of the IMASUS project, focused on sustainable design principles and an introduction to the IMASUS training modules. My name is Lauren, and I'm part of the project through partner Lottozero. In this session, I'll guide you through a way of thinking about sustainable design, one that connects materials, systems, and design decisions, and introduce the modules that support this approach. IMASUS is a practice-based framework that bridges academic research on sustainable fashion materials with the practical needs of fashion practitioners. What this means is that the project is not only about generating knowledge, but about making that knowledge usable. It's about helping designers access, understand, and actually apply sustainable material strategies within their own practice. IMASUS is a collaborative European project, bringing together partners from Spain, Italy, and Greece. Each partner contributes a different perspective, from material science to design to education and creative practice. And that's important because sustainability is not a single discipline problem. It requires collaboration across systems. A key idea in this project is that sustainable fashion starts at the design phase. Before a garment is ever produced, many of the most important decisions have already been made. In IMASUS, this is addressed through two main components: a material database and sustainable design learning modules. Together, these aim to support both knowledge and application. To understand sustainable design, we need to think in systems. This diagram shows a circular fashion system, from raw material extraction to production to use, and eventually recycling or disposal. Design sits at a critical point in this system because it determines whether a product can circulate or whether it becomes waste. And this second diagram shows just how complex that system really is. We are dealing with material flows, production processes, user behavior, repair, reuse, and recycling infrastructures. So sustainable design is not about perfect solutions. It's about making informed decisions within a complex and often imperfect system. Within IMASUS, we developed 4 key learning modules, all for sustainable fashion design. Design for longevity, design for modularity, design for recyclability, and zero waste design. Each module includes a core learning module, a case study, and a practical toolkit. This structure moves from understanding to application to practice. The learning module provides the conceptual foundation. The case study shows how these ideas are applied in real design contexts. And the toolkit translates everything into practical tools like frameworks, checklists, and exercises that support your decision-making. Together, they form a complete system for learning and applying sustainable design. Let's take a look at one of the modules, zero waste design. In conventional garment production, between 15 and 30% of the fabric never makes it into a finished garment. It ends up on the cutting room floor as offcuts, scraps, and unusable pieces. This isn't a marginal inefficiency. At scale, across the global textile industry, this represents an enormous loss of water, energy, land, and labor. And here's the key point. It's not inevitable. It's a design choice. The Japanese kimono is a powerful historical example of zero waste design, as it implements zero fabric waste. It's constructed entirely from straight rectangular pieces cut directly from the width of the fabric. No curved cutting, no offcuts. The dimensions of the fabric determine the dimensions of the garment. It's a centuries-old system that solved a problem the fashion industry still hasn't solved at scale. Holly McQuillan is a designer and researcher who has spent decades exploring zero waste design. Her work demonstrates that zero waste is not just possible, it's generative. that the constraint of using every centimeter of fabric can actually lead to more interesting, more intelligent design. Her approach combines pattern making, digital tools, and system thinking. This leads us to a key question. If waste is a design decision, what would it mean to design it out from the start? Another one of the IMASUS design modules focuses on design for modularity. The truth is, we discard garments long before they wear out because of trends, changing tastes, or a single element that fails. But what if garments were designed to be reconfigured instead of replaced? Modular clothing has a long history. In Renaissance Europe, detachable sleeves and collars allowed garments to be transformed. In the Victorian period, interchangeable components expanded wardrobes without increasing material use. Modularity was born from material scarcity. We've largely forgotten it in the age of cheap production. More recently, designers like Ismiaki with APOC and Flavia Larocca, seen here, have reintroduced modularity as a form of circular design. Garments themselves become systems, adaptable, repairable, and transformable over time. We ask ourselves, what if the most sustainable garment was the one that never needed to be replaced because it could always become something new? Let's take a look at what the Design for Longevity module includes. Most garments are not discarded because they are broken. They are discarded because we stop caring about them. So the problem of textile waste is not only technical, it is cultural and emotional. Longevity operates at three levels: physical durability, how long something lasts; adaptability, how it changes with the user; and emotional durability, how much we value it. Petite Pli is a strong example of this. They design garments that grow with the child, extending use across multiple sizes. But just as importantly, they create an emotional connection because the garment becomes part of the child's story. Here, the question becomes, what would it mean to design a garment that someone would want to keep for 10 years? Now let's take a peek into the module that's all about design for recyclability. Did you know that less than 1% of textiles are recycled into new clothing? At the same time, millions of tons of textile waste are generated every year. The system is almost entirely linear. The reason for this is not just consumer behavior, it's design. Most garments are made from blended fibers, complex constructions, and mixed components that cannot be separated. RefoLab in Prato offers a different model. They design garments from the beginning with the end-of-life recovery in mind: monomaterial, simplified construction, and traceable systems. At a European level, this is becoming a requirement. The EU strategy for sustainable textiles states that garments must be durable, repairable, and recyclable. This means designers need to understand how to design for these outcomes. So finally, we ask ourselves, if you designed a garment today, knowing exactly how it would be recovered in 5 years from now, what would you do differently? Design for recyclability is often misunderstood. It's not just about using recycled materials. It's about designing garments so that they can be recycled through material choices, construction, and design simplification. Let's take a moment to briefly recap. Here in these modules, we've seen 4 lenses for design for sustainability. 4 places where the industry could be different. 4 places where, in some cases, it already is. Zero waste design, design for modularity, design for longevity, and design for recyclability. None of these is a complete solution. They are simply complementary strategies. And the most interesting work happens at their intersections. So now the question shifts from what is sustainable design to how do I apply this in my own work? This is where the IMASUS workshops come in. They are practical, hands-on collaborative experience focused on design for recyclability in Prato, Italy. You'll use the tools introduced in the modules to develop your own design concepts and prototypes. If you're interested in joining us for this 2-day workshop on May 23rd to 24th at Lottozero, please do not hesitate to reach out for more information. Thank you for attending this online webinar, and we hope to hear from you soon.